that we can survive for 10 or 15 minutes without coffee. I ask the authors of the posters that come with me to the posters, and each author, I ask each author, poster author to summarize the take-home message of the poster in few sentences, maximum in 2 minutes allowed. I suggest start with this poster by Tanya from Ljubljana, from Slovenia, and go in direction to the door.
Yeah. Stay here.
Please tell your name and the title or a short title of the poster.
Yeah. My name is Menegalia. I come from Triglav National Park from Slovenia. In a few words, I will present you the distribution, species composition of plant alien species in Triglav National Park. The law of the Triglav National Park says that introduction of alien species in the park is not allowed. But we started with the monitoring of the alien species, plant alien species in 2010, and now we detected around 1,500 spots, 20 different alien species. And the majority of the most spread species are Falloppia japonica, Alianthus altissima, Rigorum anus, and some to this Solidago gigantea and Solidago canadensis. Then we also analyze where these species occur. And we saw that the majority of the species occur on roadsides and around the water bodies, also in anthropogenic meadows. So the next steps are now the management, how to prevent the spreading of this species. We have now 3 or 4 test plots where we control, and when we try to use different methods to eradicate these species. For now we try with Falloppia japonica and also with Solidago gigantea and Solidago canadensis. The next, now we are preparing the management plan for the park, and part of this management plan is also the action plan for alien species, and this action plan will be, I hope, we will start with the next steps. Okay.
Thank you.
In a few words.
Who is the next? Who is the owner of next 2 posters?
Thank you. As I said before, I'm from Poland. My name is Anna Kębłowska, and I work in the national park, Kampinoski National Park, and which is in central Poland near the capital city. I am a botanist, but maybe some of you know my friend from park, Anna Otręba, which is specialist with EIS, and I just wanted to, because I couldn't decide, I couldn't fit all the informations on one post. I wanted to say about occurrence, both, and control of invasive species in our park. That's why we prepared 2 posters, and First poster is telling about species which occur in our park. Those are effects of a few years project where we was research the occurrence of 40 alien species in our park, and it was also 3 species and herbs and other species. And as far we know what is how big is the problem in our park, and then we wanted to check how our actions till that day are excuse me, it's nervous. Are our activities good or no? We tried technical, mechanical methods and management methods and chemical methods, but chemical methods in our country is not allowed in protected areas, so it was only experimental scale. And I think we have good results in control of black cherry, of black locust or red oak, as well as from herbs Solidago gigantea, for example. So here we have a book. Unfortunately, it's mainly in Polish, but it has a short note in English. So if you are interested in effects of our researches, I can show you the book, and I can give you a www address. Thank you.
Thank you for this offer. And ask the next also.
I'm going to be a translator from Spanish. The Natural Park at the Cultural Mountain Range is a green island of 8,300 hectares. It's very close to Barcelona city, and it's surrounded by 3 million people. Inside we have populations and neighborhoods, which are a factor for land fragmentation, and which have an associated range of gardens and parks with many plantations, some of them alien. Within the park, more than 130 alien invasive species were spotted, and the main one was Ailanthus altissima. In 1994, the first test to eliminate these species was performed. Ever since, the technical services at the park have performed several experiences on the elimination on this and other species, including all kinds of treatments, both manual, mechanic, chemicals, and so on. In 2004, the injection of herbicides in the Ailanthus trees was started. These first tests were basically testing the ability of injected herbicides on the trunk of to eliminate the tree. Several mix of herbicides were tried, and at the end they got the right recipe, and they've been using that ever since. In 2015, a major intervention was performed, treating 26,000 trees. And the cost was only 45,000 euros. In 2014, a new line was started with cooperation with neighbors to be able to treat the trees that were inside private land. And that allowed for the treatment of 1,700 ailanthus. This leaflet is for the general public, for the layman, and it includes a list of the main alien invasive species in the park, and also a list of alternative ornamental species that can be planted in gardens and parks and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Luc Gielen, come from the Netherlands, from a water supply company managing a coastal dune area. My colleague Willem Stulle will have a talk tomorrow, so my introduction can be short because you get the talk tomorrow. But the main thing is that we had a lot of Prunus rhotina, we heard it before, and it seemed to be not a problem in the 80s and 90s. It was slightly spread in the area, but mainly planted in pine forests, which were present in the area for forestry. And it stayed in the forests. It was no problem in the dunes itself. And then in 2040, it spread all over our habitats, open dune habitats, dunelands, wet dune slags, also the, how do you call them, the H2160 habitats. And then we realized that we should have a management system to control that. We started on small scale on our southern part of the area and finding out what could work and what didn't work. We weren't able to use herbicides because we were a water catchment area, so we have to do it with machines in hand and a grazing regime with sheep and with cow. And starting up from the south, we made a strategic plan to close in the main issues. But management costs went up so much that we started a live program. And the last 4 years, we got rid of the last remains in this area. My colleague will show you some results on. Oh, it's okay. It's good like this? Okay, thanks. And we now got rid of the biggest population, I think, and we're now in control. And the next years we'll deal with continuing of the management, but we invested about €1 million in the last 4 years with thanks of life. So we'll hear more tomorrow.
Thank you. Yes, the next speaker.
Thank you. My name is Alexandru Ciuvăț. I'm from Romania, from National Forest Research Institute, and our poster is about Robinia pseudacacia, black locust, which we foresters don't really consider an invasive species. It's semi-naturalized in Romania. We've been using it for 2 centuries. And It's about a joint implementation project that our National Forest Administration had with the World Bank of afforesting degraded lands, mostly abandoned agricultural lands, and especially in the south part of the country, there was and still is a very big problem with sand dunes, with wind-blown sands that are covering agricultural fields, and nothing else grows there. And this led to the situation that many farmers abandoned their fields. There was like a Sahara desert there. And after seeing the results of the afforestations made by the National Forest Administration on these types of lands, they decided to associate themselves. They created private forest owner associations, and they managed to afforest an area of about 5,000 hectares. And we are emphasizing the various benefits of these black locust afforestations. Benefits like firewood source, fuel wood source for the local populations. It's a melliferous species, so beekeepers take advantage greatly of black locust. And also from a biodiversity point of view, it offers shelter and nesting place for a number of bird species. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Move forward. Author of this poster is missing. Okay, go toward this one.
Thank you. So my name is Orsolya Mile. I'm from here. I'm from Hungary, and I work in the National Park of Kiskunság in the middle of the country. I would like to present a poster about Asclepias syriaca, which is probably the most abundant invasive alien species of the country. Very huge areas are occupied by this plant, mainly on sandy areas is abundant, and although very huge areas are occupied, some hectares of them are so important because of valuable flora and fauna that we cannot avoid the control of this alien species. We had one large life nature project about an important plant species, which is an endemic pan-endemic species called Dianthus diutinus, and Asclepias syriaca occupies its habitat. We had 3 well-defined project sites, and we started to combat against Asclepias syriaca. We had no other choice but to use chemical, and because from previous experiments we had information that mechanical control is is completely useless against Asclepias syriaca, and we used 3 different methods according to the density of the Asclepias stands. We coated the leaves individually in case of the Asclepias stand was scattered and the grass structure was untouched or protected plants occurred. In case the stands were more dense, we used pressurized containers, 2 liters. This equipment allowed more precise handling than manpower machines, and in case the dance was in case the stand was so dense that like plantation, then we used manpower machines. We started with in one project site, which was the larger one in the middle of the country, in Bodoglár project site, which is 160 hectares. We started 36 hectares of Asclepias syriaca stands, and with averagely 30% of relative cover of the plant. And during the 5 years handling, we reached we reduced the area to almost 6 hectares, and the density was reduced as well. So this double success was reached during the 5 years project, and I can tell that after the project we continued these 3 methods, and this area is almost completely free of Asclepias syriaca without the damage of the natural vegetation. So it is useful methods, but I have controversial feelings about chemical use as a biologist and as a worker for nature protection, and this would be a question as well, that I know that we have quite a precise methods worked out already in controlling this species, but there are such abiotic conditions which are very different during this use, like the temperature, like different soil types, exposure, the different light conditions, humidity, which affects largely the effectiveness of the chemicals. Anybody know about scientific research dealing with this topic, ecophysiological or something like that? Okay. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. So my name is Jana Piknicová. I am from the Czech Republic, and I work for Ministry of the Environment. Me and my colleague Jan Šíma prepared poster about situation of invasive alien species in the Czech Republic, and we try to summarize some important things. So we divided the poster to 4 boxes and topic. So we have some information about cooperation with researchers, about legislation of invasive species, about state strategies, and some information about funds for invasive species regulation. I'd like to highlight 2 important things from this poster. One thing is that the Czech Republic does not have any special legislation for invasive alien species like Hungary. So we prepare very intensively adoption of the regulation about invasive species, and so we prepare this year amendment of the Act on the Nature and Landscape Protection from 1992. And the second information is that I think that we have very good experts and specialists for invasive biology, especially for plants. We have, if you know, Petr Pišek and Jan Pergel. And this year, 2016, they published Black, Grey and Watch List of Alien Species in the Czech Republic based on environmental impacts and management strategy. So we are very proud. And if you want, I have here this article with me, so I can show you. And according this article, we prepared this cooperation with Jan Pergel, risk assessment for invasive alien species for national and union. I don't know. Yeah. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. From Sardinia.
Hi, I'm Manuela Manca, and with my colleague Giovanni Piras, we prepare, and Giuseppe Brundu of University of Sassari, we prepare this work. The title is Analysis of the Woody Alien Flora in Sardinia Public Forests. We work for Ente Foreste della Sardegna, that is public body, the main authority involved in management on forests and protected areas in Sardinia. We manage 230,000 hectares in our region in Italy, and this area includes also national parks, regional parks, and areas of Natura 2000 network. And we manage protected areas, but we have also nursery, forestry nursery. And in this nursery we produce a lot of species. And this production started 1 century ago. The story of forestry production is very long in Italy. But of the species, of the exotic species, we don't know how many species there are in managed areas in the nursery, which species we have, and where the species are present. So we do this study, and we screened and verified all available literature and on non-woody species, in particular the work of Camarda. We search also in our official documents and reports and other administrative internal reports, working documents and grey literature. This data that we collect was stored in a dedicated geodatabase that includes a lot of field observation. And as a result, we produce a regional checklist of woody alien flora that included 218 woody taxa. And of this taxa, we analyze the invasive status, and we found that that we have 19 naturalized species, 51 casual, 35 species about which we don't have recent records, and 75 species that are only planted in our areas. We prepared also the distributions maps of the species, and as results of analysis of the geodatabase, we found that we have the following invasive species: Sensu Richardson and Pisek, Acacia mearsni, Acacia saligna, Agave americana, Ailanthus altissima, Opuntia ficus indica, and also Pinus alepensis. As conclusion, this work is a preliminary work. A lot of work, we must do a lot of work, and we need other studies on distribution of species affecting protected areas and habitats, and involving major risk. We think we wanted to adopt a voluntary code of good practice for nursery and plantation management. Also, we need in-house communication campaign for increasing the knowledge and awareness of problem within our personnel. along the whole forest supply chain and towards local stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think the last one.
My name is Carmen Sorescu. I'm from Romania, from Environmental Protection Agency. Our LIFE project, the aim of the project is improving the conservation status for the priority species and habitat in the Iron Gates wetlands. The wetlands are located in Natura 2000 site called Danube Watercourse Baziaș Iron Gate. This area is a large area for priority habitats where come pygmy cormorant and ferruginous duck. The action for invasive species, management of invasive species, actually we were focused for aquatic invasive species and terrestrial invasive species. For aquatic species, we have the action as porching cost-effective floating equipment designed for cutting the invasive macrophytes from Natura 2000. With harvesting for eliminating invasive species was a best practice, then can reduce the species competing with the various protected species without using chemical compounds as a herbicide. We try to have a demonstrative action for Natura 2000 sites managers. We try to have a lot of, not a lot, one action of, as a cut, the Ailanthus altissima, invasive species, terrestrial invasive species. The results of the project, the activity was organized in 4 seasons in order to reduce the biomass to eliminate the aquatic invasive species along the Danube and the wetlands from our Iron Gates Natura 2000 sites, and try to eliminate invasive 3 species as Ailanthus altissima. In balance, we try to enlarging riparian habitats with Salix alba. Salix alba is a good habitat for these 2 species, bird species, as pygmy cormorant and ferruginous duck. We try to implement a warning system on aquatic invasive species as a toolkit for the park administration, for fishermen, and wildlife managers. And we have a web page for reporting invasive species on the site.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 3 posters in the corridor wall, so I ask the authors come in the room and tell here about the posters. We can connect the topic and the face of the authors, and later.
So my name is Csaba Berecki. I'm from Hortobágy National Park Directorate, and with my colleagues we made a poster about how we deal with invasive tree and plant species at our directorate. You can read about mechanical and chemical treatment as well. You can read on the poster also the grazing method we use and all the combination of those techniques. And I yeah, one highlight of the poster that sometimes different kind of methods or the combination of methods could be useful on different areas or habitats against the same species. And if you have any questions about the poster, please feel free to contact us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I have a poster out there named Ribesilva Project. It's about the life project that we are managing in the Segura River Basin Authority. It deals with the restoration of the riparian forest in the mid-stretch of the Segura River in southeastern Spain. And to do so, we need to fight alien invasive species, especially the giant reed or Arundo donax, which is basically covering the whole of the river banks in many stretches of the river. And it won't allow for any native vegetation to reproduce in the area. Anyway, we are doing a lot of different actions, not only elimination of giant reed and reforestation with native species. We have focused this as a multidisciplinary project. We have a lot of environmental education actions. We have a lot of prevention actions dealing with the drafting of a management plan for alien invasive species in riparian habitats. We also have we are working with the city halls in the area for them to have a management plan for the trees in their parks and gardens so that they don't promote the use of alien invasive species. And we also work in the monitoring of the effects of the recovery of the riparian native forest in terms of the effect it may have on the local species of birds, bats, mammals, and so on. Anyway, I will be giving a presentation on the topic tomorrow, so I don't want to use more of your time. So thank you.
Thank you. This was the last poster presentation, so we can start the coffee break. Coffee is in the corridor, so take your coffee and come back, see the poster, and discuss the topics with the authors. The length of the coffee break is half an hour.